state of capture report suggests they had fingers in several controversial deals.
Well, many of those deals involve some top officials. Let's dig a little deeper now with Michael Marillier, who's been working that angle for us. Michael, good morning. Now, we know going back all the way to Thuli Madonsela's report, which covered a range of scandals. There are some which we'll be talking about for years to come, some that stuck out that we actually couldn't believe at the time they had happened.
That's right. They made headlines in all the major papers and, of course, right here on ENCA going back close to a decade. Let's very quickly take a look at one which will probably dominate proceedings today. That, of course, is Jonas, the former Deputy Finance Minister. He alleged that he had a controversial meeting with this man, Ajay Gupta. He is, of course, regarded as one of the generals in the Gupta family. Also at that meeting, allegedly, was Duduzane Zuma. Of course, this is former President Jacob Zuma's son. There were suggestions, Yuveka and Bradan, that Jonas was offered the job of finance minister for a cool 600,000 rand cash. He was allegedly told that he would be paid that money and then he would get 600 million rand at a later stage, all if he took the job and presumably worked for the Gupta family. So this, of course, would become known as the Jonas affair. Let's very quickly move on to another controversy, of course, involving Des van Rooyen, the so-called weekend finance minister. There he is over there. He was a backbencher in the ANC, but as we quickly move on, he allegedly travelled extensively to this place. This is, of course, the Gupta compound in Saxonwold, again holding several meetings, and apparently he was told that he would be replacing Nhlanhla Nene, who was the finance minister at the time. That happened, President Jacob Zuma making that appointment. It was an ill-fated appointment because he would be in the job for just 4 days before the ANC put pressure on Jacob Zuma and he changed tack, appointing Pravin Gordhan as the finance minister. Let's very quickly move on. And of course, a crucial element of this here was that state capture had allegedly attached itself to one of the most important portfolios in cabinet, and that, of course, the role of finance minister. Let's touch very quickly on Brian Molefi. This is a man who's no stranger to controversy. Again, he was in charge of Eskom at the time, in charge of trying to solve the power crisis in the country. And there he is. Of course, he was well known for his ability to work at parastatals. He had a fairly good record at Transnet. But then again, this man, Ajay Gupta, comes into the fold. The state capture report showed that Brian Molefi had 58 telephone calls with Ajay Gupta in the space of around 5 months. He was also found to have been in the Saxonwold area where the Gupta's home is on multiple occasions. His explanation for that, there was a shebeen in the neighborhood. And of course, who can forget that famous line, the Saxonwold shebeen, which Brian Molefi claimed he visited on numerous occasions. And speaking of Eskom, this is a crucial deal, and this is a crucial number in this whole state capture saga, 600 million rand. That was the value of a payment from Eskom to a company which was owned by the Guptas. That company was known as Tegeta Resources. So this money was paid just days before Tegeta bought a coal mine known as the Optimum Colliery. There were allegations that Eskom had helped facilitate this deal by giving it 600 million rand. Eskom described it as a prepayment for services it was still expecting, but the alarm bells really were ringing because they were paying a massive amount of money for goods which they had not yet received. Let's very quickly move on. Mosebenzi Zwane, of course, was the mining minister at the time. Lots of speculation about his role. He apparently traveled all the way to Switzerland to help facilitate that role for the Gupta family. And so, finally, Bradan and Yuveka, that deal, of course, not necessarily that optimum, as it were, for Eskom, certainly turned out well for the Guptas as they managed to secure a coal mine. Just giving you a sense of some of the controversies in the build-up to the start of today's inquiry.
All right, well, that's where it all started, and that's what we saw happening since, and what will happen now at this inquiry. Thanks, Michael Marillier.